after knowing that this is the second biggest fight of your career?
Well, I just think it's first knowing and understanding and realizing that this is the biggest fight of my career and taking the proper precautions. So coming out here was one of those steps. My mental focus is another step. And just doing little things, implementing little things that would give me that edge. I want to be victorious, but not only victorious, I want to look good doing it. I want to give the fans a great show, so I know I have to be in extreme condition.
Are you looking at any Triple G footage?
Of course. I'm not one of those guys who don't like to study. I think it's kind of crazy that guys take pride in not studying their opponents, but I'm one to study. I study habits, and we capitalize off those things.
Which one of the flaws you see in Triple G?
There's a handful of flaws.
Can we get one specific?
His defense. He's there to get hit. Even though he's monstrous offensively, his defense doesn't add up. And if I can be my best at my defense and be on my A game as well with my offense, then it's going to be a long night.
Are you going to do anything different this fight prior to all your other fights that you have?
We have yet to see. I don't know what will go down inside the fight. The true champions make adjustments if need be, but I know we have a game plan that we're going to try to implement. And if we need to go to a game, a plan B or a plan C, we will be prepared for that as well.
Now, you made some additions to your camp this time. Chris Algieri this go-around, Virgil Hunter. Why this fight and why right now these new additions?
First off, I want to take my hat off to you, brother, for not only just being neutral, but, being what a reporter is supposed to be, right? Not being biased, not putting your own personal opinions in there, and just respecting the sport. So hats off to you, brother. What was your question again?
You made some additions to your camp, Chris Algieri being one of them, Virgil Hunter's assistants. So what do you think about, or what made it right now the time for those additions?
I just think it was just meant to be. I've always known Chris to be a great guy, and I've always known him to really know his nutrition. And when I see his Instagram and his Facebook and stuff like that, I'm like, man,
you start getting hungry.
Yeah, this guy is amazing. But I never thought about him being inside my camp, and it just so happened to be that he was available for this time. He's just like, man, everything is kind of coming together. He's willing to come out here, and train with me and help me with my nutrition. And my nutrition can be on point, as it's always kind of been, but he's on a whole nother level. I mean, he knows his stuff, and not only that, he's a world-class athlete. He's been at this level before as a professional boxer. So the mental gain that you get from this is, through the roof as well.
Definitely. And there's a lot of criticism about the Dimitri Perot loss, but people don't factor in that you beat cancer after that point and things like that. So in your mind, what does that loss mean to you, and how did you bounce back from that?
I think the proof is in the pudding. I haven't lost a fight since. Look extremely better throughout my fights. And aside from the emotional part that I was going through with all the stuff that was outside of the ring with my family, my grandmother passing away, aside from all of that, I was 21, 22 years old. I mean, I was still a young man. I was a kid. I'm a full-fledged man now. I know how to crack. I got that experience. And I've seen the game. You grow in this sport. If I was to remain the same kid that I was then, I wouldn't be here at this level now. So, I think that speaks volumes. And I think people are going to always look for something to criticize. And the easiest thing to criticize is the loss that I took with Perot. But, I know it's the sport of boxing, you're always going to have to prove yourself. Mayweather gets scrutinized through his whole entire career. It's like, what else do he have to prove? But people still criticize him. So who am I to say that, I'm subjected to that,
Speaking of criticism, some people said you were ducking the fight, you didn't want the fight because of this December negotiations. Can you tell the fans a little bit about the business side that was going on?
Well, see, what people don't understand, and I get it from a frustrated fan perspective, especially when they don't know the business side or how it goes. We fight for a living. I fight for my family. I want to make sure I'm compensated accordingly. And you said it best. They're making this guy out to be the biggest guy. They're making him out to be the superstar. He's selling out arenas. So pay me accordingly. If he's the superstar guy, If he's the main man, why would I not want to get compensated accordingly? If this is the biggest fight that could be made at middleweight, then why not want to get paid accordingly? And that was the main reason why it has taken so long, because it's supposed to be scheduled for December, but now that it's in March, the paperwork was right. I'm happy with the business side of it, and you know, the training part, that's all up to me now. It's my job to get in there and do my job.
And then lastly, fighting at home for a big and dangerous fight, New York, how's that feel?
It feels great. I just feel like, you know, I wouldn't want to have it any place in the world other than New York, because the Mecca of boxing, Madison Square Garden, is, I mean, it's historic, you know, and this is one of those historic fights, you know. So I believe, from a fan and from my own perspective, I just feel like it couldn't have been at a better place, because New York fans are the best. The Mecca of boxing throughout the history of the world has been the #1 place for big, extravagant fights. So me being a New Yorker is just icing on the cake.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, Danny. My first question is, I noticed that you brought your whole team out here with you. How good does that feel? Because I know you're moving locations, but it feels good to see familiar faces. Talk about the atmosphere, your coaches, and all that stuff.
It feels great. I mean, to have my whole team come out here and to have that home feeling away from home is everything. You know, it plays into my mental. I don't feel like, you know, I'm out here on my own. I'm doing things that I've never done before. I have my whole team, and my family actually came out to see me one time, you know, so that was incredible. So I don't feel like the sacrifice of being away is bad. You know, I feel like it's a great sacrifice because it's mixed. You know, me being a dad too, you know, me being able to see my son is just, you know, it's everything. But, you know, when you make a sacrifice like this and you've been away for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, it just, you know, it adds to that fury, it adds to that, you know, that motivation to get in there. It adds to that motivation.
And I hear a lot of people with you, they talk about the mental side, but I don't think people understand the hell you went through when you were outside of boxing. Is there anything Gennady Golovkin can mentally bring to you that you didn't have to go when you were outside of boxing, surviving cancer, losing a loved one?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, the physical challenges that I faced with learning how to walk again and going through chemo and radiation and all those different things, I mean, that was the lowest of the lows. I mean, there's nothing in this world, including the fight with Gennady Golovkin, that can mentally break me or mentally make me fearful of overcoming. I mean, I almost died, you know. I'm not going to die inside that ring. You know, it's a different type of, it's different levels.
You put context to the sport, I'm kind of hearing, where like, this is real life as opposed to like you're the best at a competition.
Right, it's still a sport. I mean, it's a sport where you can get hurt, but in the same time, it's a sport. You know, I'm just looking forward to being the best in this sport, being the best in my division, and proving that I'm one of the best in the world.
And finally from me, I know you talked about the snack train. Can you go a little bit more about that hypoxic, all that cool stuff? And is there any of those supplements that you're like taking, man? Because I'm trying to get fit.
Well, the hypoxic trainer was the bubble, and just the different workouts that I haven't really been used to doing. And it's already taken an effect on me. I mean, I can go 12 rounds now, even though we're kind of pacing ourselves, but, you know, I feel really good. I feel really good working with those guys. It add a little niche to my training and my condition, and like I've said before, I'm looking forward to implementing all those things come fight night.
And are you a ZMA dude, or is there any of those supplements that you like, or not?
Oh, you're going to try to give me the answer to that, I'm not going to answer that, brother.
Okay, I'm next. John Responding with MaxBoxing.com and SecondsOut. Danny, working with Virgil Hunter for the first time, and this is, you know, Virgil's a very cerebral guy, as we know. Tell me what he's bringing to your camp that, you know, really the basic reason why you came out here to work with him. What was the reason, if you can tell me?
Well, I mean, like I said in the beginning, Virg opened up his gym initially to us and allowed us to train here. But in addition, you know, he helps us out with, you know, little things that he sees and that he can add. He's a mastermind of the sport. He's been around for a very long time. Him and my trainer have a really great relationship, so it's no super ego inside this training camp. It all works for everybody, and the main objective for everybody is to make sure that I'm successful come March 18th.
explain to me a little bit about that mental aspect you were talking about, because most people see boxing as it's very physical because you're throwing punches at each other. Is it a mindset you get yourself into? Because I've asked Andre Ward that question, and he said it's really about focus. Is that how you feel? It's a concentration with the mindset.
It really is. I mean, you have to go through certain challenges inside the ring, and it cannot go your way. You can go in there and expect to do one thing, and you have to go into a different mindset to achieve something different in order to be successful. So that focus that you get when you're in the zone, it takes you throughout. And being here has kind of helped me train that mental aspect, where if I was to face something that would be a difficult challenge, I'm sure mentally I won't collapse.
I see. Okay, lastly now, fighting in Madison Square Garden, I mean, it's the mecca of boxing for so many years. I mean, do you get an extra charge boxing there? I mean, you're obviously going to be motivated anyway, but do you get an extra chill and everything when you're in there fighting?
Absolutely. I just think it's important because, having a crowd there, 24,000 people, and it's going to be shown in over 100 countries. I mean, that's motivation in itself. But to know the true New York fans and to know my family and friends are going to be there, yeah, that makes me feel great.
Great. Good luck on the 18th, Danny.